Hey everybody, today we are making a Tasso ham. Check it out. Have you heard of Tasso ham? It is this amazingly smoky, flavorful ham that's used in things like red beans and rice and jambalaya. You can certainly eat it plain, but it's absolutely a food that goes as an accent to another dish. As it is the weekend before Mardi Gras right now, I thought this is a perfect time to go ahead and prepare this thing. Now, I will tell you, this requires a little bit of thinking. This does require 7 days of prep time. It takes a whopping 10 minutes, and then you wait 7 days. So let me tell you what we did 7 days ago. We went ahead and got an 8-pound pork shoulder, a pork butt, right? If you're a smoking guy or a smoking gal and you smoke on your grill, you know what a pork butt is. That's what we used. We have a large bone-in pork butt. We've been soaking this thing now in a brine for 7 days. The brine's really simple. You want about 2 tablespoons of brine per pound of meat. So in our case, we had about 22 or so teaspoons of salt, and then we had about 7 or 8 teaspoons of sugar. So you want to do about 70% salt, about 30% sugar. It doesn't have to be exact, but that's a good ratio. You then put it into a bucket, a bowl, a dish, a pot, something that will fit in your fridge, and you cover it with water and that solution that's been mixed into it. And that is it. And then we are ready to go. As a matter of fact, my fridge was so cold, a little bit of the water froze on top of it. So we're gonna pull this out, we're gonna let it dry off, and then we're gonna remove the bone before we cook it. So let me show you how we do that. We're just patting this a little bit dry, just because it's a little easier to work with when you do. Now, whether you remove the bone before you brine it or afterwards, it's good to have a really sharp knife. So I'm just kind of looking at where this is. I can see my blade here, the bigger part of it. I see if some of it comes out right here. I'm guessing it kind of goes this way a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand this up and I'm going to start running my boning knife. Have a good sharp knife, but I'm going to start running my boning knife along it to try to remove that. And by the way, it's okay if we end up cutting our ham into 2 sort of sections. So I'm not going in real deep because I don't really know the shape of it yet. So this allows me to sort of follow that bone as I go. Just feel around here so you get an idea on where the bone actually travels to. Here we go. Try to do this so you can see a little bit in here as well. Now where the bone has quite a few curves, you're making less deep cuts and much more shallow, just so you can work it along that bone. I'm going to turn this around and face me for a minute just because it'll be a little easier to cut. But you see, you're just slowly working it out of here. We will still smoke this. That is a good piece of smoked meat. Have great flavor, super little enhancer for putting in, a side dish where you might use pork fat. All right, so now we're going to cut this into a couple of pieces here. I'm going to do this one straight across because this has got a lot of fat on it. It'll be a fatty piece, but it'll be very flavorful. So there we go. We're going to have 2 nice pieces of this Tasso ham, just like this. And this one will fold up, get that cooked nice inside with a little fat back all the way around it. I'm not going to trim much of this at all. Boy, not much, because this fat here, this will sort of just render down into amazing flavor. With that, it's prepped, and it is now time to get this seasoned up. These are going to be our 2 pieces of Tasso ham right here. Before we make up our seasoning, I'm going to go ahead and kick on our smoker at 225 degrees. We'll do this for 225 for most of it. We're going to cook this thing as long as it takes until we have an internal temperature of 185. That's what we're shooting for. Power on, smoke, 200, 225. Remember, this started 7 days ago brining. We trimmed the bone out of it, and now we're going to go ahead and put our rub on here. So let me talk about what this is. Just a homemade rub, but it's a good Tasso rub or a nice Cajun rub. I'm going to look down at my list because there's a list of ingredients. I'll be sure and put it in the description below. 4 tablespoons of paprika, 4 tablespoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of cayenne pepper, 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 2 tablespoons of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of sugar. I did 1 tablespoon of brown, 1 tablespoon of white. We now want to go with 1 teaspoon of chipotle powder, black pepper, dried sage, ground cloves, and my recipe actually called for pink curing salt. I don't think it's going to make any difference. I left that out. So really, it is this simple. We're now going to take this and we're going to start to just apply our rub. Now, we want this to be pretty thick on here. So the best thing to do is, remember you saw me pat this dry before. It's still just a little bit moist, which is perfect. It's just enough to sort of make it stick. So I don't rub it on there. I just sort of pat it on. Now I'm going to concentrate on getting this thicker one flavored up just the way I want, and then we'll do the thinner one. So if we run a little shy or over on rub, we can always just ensure that this bigger piece has all the seasoning we want on it. All right. Now with this one, remember, we have inside and outside. I'm going to go with a thin layer of this inside. And we're just going to go ahead and put a nice little layer of this right on the outside of this. Now when I do a rub, I always like to let it sit, probably for 5 to 15 minutes. What you want is the humidity in the air, the moisture in the meat to absorb that powder, the dry powder, and what'll look like it's a moist mud almost on the outside. It's exactly what we want because that was what will form the crust when we go ahead and smoke it. All right, let me clean up my hands. We'll get back in a minute. With these all seasoned up, let's go ahead and pop them into the smoker, and I'll show you the way I have the smoker configured to make sure we get a nice bit of moisture in there without overcooking them because of this small smoker that we have. Now because our PitBoss doesn't have the biggest fire pit in here, I'm putting this small pot, and I've got about 1.5 inches of water in it, and I put that directly over the top of the fire pot down below. And I did that just to help it dissipate the heat so we don't end up getting a real hot spot right up here where we cook this meat. So let's go ahead and pop these pieces right up on here. We'll do one right there. Do the other right here. And you notice I put the thicker part toward the center, thinner part toward the edge. That's probably a good way to do it. And I'm just going to place this bone we extracted out of here right in the center. Get some good flavor on that guy. We can use that in some beans or something. All right, let's close this up. All right, so I come back to you at 4 p.m. So this has now been on for about 7 hours. We've been checking it every so often. I have my meter probe in there, and the estimated time was just way off on it. I did end up turning the temperature from 225 to 250 about 3.5, 4 hours into it. Just wanted to make sure this was going to be done in time. But we're right now running at about 185 to 190 degrees. So let's go ahead and pull out our 2 pieces of ham. We're going to set them right here, and we're just going to let them rest on the cutting board. And here we go. These are looking really good right here. So let me go ahead and pull these guys out of there. All right, we've let this set now for about 10 minutes or so, and we're just gonna go ahead and slice this open and kind of take a look at it. I've never made Tasso ham, so let's check this out. Wow, that looks pretty darn amazing. Look at that. Cooked all the way through, really nice smoke ring around there. Give a bit of this a shot. All right, well, as you saw, that looked pretty darn good. Cut a little piece of this off, a little slice of it. Give that a shot. Man, it smells good. Wow. It has amazing, amazing smoked ham flavor. Holy Hannah. Look at that. Some of the fat that was in the middle of that pork shoulder has just rendered down. You can see just how tender that is. Almost pull apart. Not quite like pulled pork, but close. Man, that is delicious. Here's a little bit that was stuck to the bottom of the grill. So a little bit of fat, a little bit of meat in there. Huh. Prime flavor there. Wow. This is going to be good. I'm going to chop up some of these little drier pieces. They're going to go inside of our red beans and rice for our Mardis Gras celebration today. The rest we'll cut up for cheese and crackers and side dishes, whatever else somebody wants it for. I recommend you give this a try. Doesn't have to be just for Mardi Gras, but this is a delicious make your own ham. This is not buy the ham and just reheat it. This is taking a pork butt, brining it, seasoning it, and then smoking it until it's 185 degrees inside. Bye y'all, safe and happy grilling. Oh good, you're still here. Hey listen, if you want to see our entire playlist of all of our smoker recipes, check out this playlist here. If you want to see all the things we do on the Blackstone, check out the one right there. Bye y'all.